so nice, so that's what I like. Is that sugar and spice.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the debut episode of Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip Hop show. On our debut episode, we've got Egyptian Lover, Miranda Wrights, Chris the Glove, and Martin Askem.
Hello out there, Disco Daddy here. Welcome to Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip Hop. And this is our very first show, our premiere. And we're honored to have one of the premier disc jockeys worldwide, not just West Coast or East Coast, but worldwide. His name is known all over the world, Mr. Egyptian Lover. We know him as Greg. Yeah. How you doing this morning, man?
Oh, man, I'm good.
Good. 30 minutes is not long enough, obviously, to cover your career, but we're going to do our best to condense it as much as we can. What we'd like for you to do is to just give us a few minutes of how you started, where you come from, where you were born, how you were raised, and what led you to become a DJ, phase one.
Well, I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California, and I was actually bused from the L.A. City to the San Fernando Valley, and it was a very long bus ride, probably about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. So a friend of mine named Snake Puppy, who later on joined the L.A. Dream Team, decided let's do a contest and see who can make the best tape to listen to on the bus ride, because it was kind of boring, for 2 hours.
What year were you talking about, approximately?
So about 1978.
Okay.
So we all went home, and over the weekend, and I was recording records over the radio, waiting for the same record to come on so I could record the breakdown longer and longer and longer. And my little brother said, "Why don't you just go buy the 45? And you have to wait for the radio. You just buy the 45 and record it from the 45." I'm like, "Wow, you're a genius." So I went to the record store, and I bought like 4 or 5 records, 45s, and I made a tape and did the breakdown over and over again, did the beginning over and over again by doing a pause button mixtape. Right. I brought it to the bus, and everybody loved it, and we played the tape like 2 or 3 times on the way to school. And then 1979 came out, and Rapper's Delight was a hit record. So the following year, I was making mixtapes, the whole time. But when Rapper's Delight came out, everybody loved this new style of music, and they wanted more than just Rapper's Delight. So I started making raps on the tapes that I was making for the bus ride. And then the word got around school that I had mixtapes, so everybody started buying these new raps that I was doing on these mixtapes. And I became a local celebrity at my school at James Monroe High School in the San Fernando Valley. And after that, there's one guy came up to me. This is probably 1981 now. In 1981, this guy, a grown man, walked up to me when I was getting ready to get on the bus to go back home. And he said, "Are you Egyptian Lover?" And I was kind of scared, like, "Uh-oh, what did I do?" I was like,
so you had been using the name Egyptian Lover since high school?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I had the name for a long time.
Okay.
So it was like, I heard your tape, and I want to know if you can do what you did on this tape at my club, and I can give you $500. I'm like, yeah, I could do it. So I went home, and I was trying to learn how to do the pause button mixtapes. From the tapes that I was doing pause button mixtapes, I was trying to learn how to do that with turntables. So a friend of mine brought over his turntable, and went to Radio Shack, and we bought a mixer. And I learned how to do the edits from the pause button with the records. So I practiced for like 2 weeks, and then it was time to do the show. And I had it down. I could make the record repeat 3 times. I called it the triple threat, and I can do, doubles with the going back and forth with the records. I have to buy doubles of every record. And I learned actually how to mix the records. So I show up at the party.
That was your first year actually using turntables.
Yeah, that was 1981.
Okay, 1881.
And then I get to the club, and he says, I didn't want you to mix. I want you to do this rap you did. I thought, oh, wow, I learned how to DJ for nothing. I got up there, did my one rap song. He gave me $500, and I went home. I'm like, wow, this is too easy. And then I learned how to DJ already, so then I started doing my parties at the high school with turntables, and everybody really liked what I was doing. And when I got out of high school, I started doing parties for everybody and started doing more parties. By 1982, I was doing big parties at hotels, but I wasn't getting the kind of people that I wanted. So like I would get a hotel room that hold about 600 people, and I would only have like maybe 200 people in there. And Uncle Jam's Army was in full blown mode right now, and they were just getting down. They were snatching down my posters, and I was like, wow, I can't beat Uncle Jam's Army. They are too powerful. Too many people in the crew. So one day I was in the mall, and the main guy from Uncle Jam's Army was passing out flyers, and he gave me and Snake Puppy, that was Roger Clayton. And he gave me and Snake Puppy some flyers, and Snake Puppy said, man, Uncle Jam's Army is the best dance promotion team out there, but y'all don't have the best DJ. And Ross knew us from coming to the party. He was like, who's the best DJ? And Snake Puppy pointed to me and said, Egyptian Lover's the best DJ. And he was like, you can mix? I'm like, yeah. And so he said, come with me. So he went to a recording studio to do the next commercial for the next Uncle Jam Army party, which was I think it was in Long Beach or somewhere. And I was kind of queuing up the record in the beginning of the commercial. And Roger said, what's that? And I said, well, they call it scratching, but it's really just queuing up the record out loud. He said, put that on a commercial. So I went, boom, 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 boom. And he loved it. He's like, let's leave it in the commercial. And so everybody heard that on the commercial. And he said, we're going to have a DJ contest. And so he put that on the commercial. And it was like 4 or 5 DJs at the party that night. And this was early 1982.
Now, who was scratching? Were you really into scratching, or were you just, by 82, were you just getting down the fundamentals of what that was about? How long are you?
I was just getting into it. I mean, Buffalo Girls was out, and I heard it from that, and I said, oh, that's scratch. That's cueing the record out loud. I know how to do that. So I knew how to do it already. It's just I didn't know it was a thing. I even asked one of the DJs from Uncle Jam's Army, do you know how to scratch? He said, oh, yeah, that's old. We don't do that no more. So I didn't think it was a thing. I don't know if he knew I said scratching or scatting. I don't know what.
Okay.
He said scratching was old, so I didn't think it was no big deal. So I just did minimal scratching, different parts of the record and different things. And so after Buffalo Gals came out, I'm like, yeah, I could do that. And I started doing it. And Grandma's Flash had a record called Wheels of Steel or something like that, and he did a lot of tricks on there. It's like, yeah, I could do all that. And I was doing them at the parties. People were like, wow, that's dope. And I would add my own style to it and keep the party going. And everywhere I did the scratching and the turntable tricks, people really liked it. Okay. So when I ended up joining Uncle Jam's Army, I already had an arsenal of tricks I could do on the turntables. So it was like 5 DJs up there, and of course I was the youngest one. They pushed me up on the turntables first, and they gave me Aretha Franklin's Jump to it. And it wasn't really a party song like you hear at Uncle Jam's Army, but I guess it was trying to sabotage me. So I put the headphones on. I listened to the beginning. I never heard the song before ever in my life. I heard it. I saw it said Aretha Franklin. I'm like, no, this ain't gonna happen. But I listened to it. In the beginning, it was like an acapella of her singing "Jump, jump, jump to it," and then the beat came in, and it was like a drum beat for a couple bars. And the bass line came in. I said, well, they got a beat, I can keep the beat going and maybe just scratch the part that says jump. So I kept doing that. I kept starting to beat over, boom, clap, jump, jump, chicka, jump, jump, boom, clap, boom. And I kept going back and forth, left and right. People actually got up out their seats and started walking toward the DJ booth and started staring at what I was doing. Then I would let the bass line go, and I kept going, jump to it, and then hit the beat again, hit the bass line. And I was going back and forth, just making it a party song just from the very beginning bar. And when I looked up, everybody was looking. Everybody in the party was looking. They were standing on tables, standing on chairs, looking over, like, what the hell is this dude doing?
You do that, yeah.
And so Roger came from the front door, and he ran to the DJ booth. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm in trouble or not. He says, Egypt, that's you? I'm like, yeah. He says, man. So by that time, 3 DJs had already turned around and walked away. 3 DJs looked at what I was doing and just turned around and walked away like I can't beat him. 2 other DJs were still there. And Roger said, what record do you want? I said, any record? He said, any record. I said, all right, give me Tom Tom Club, give me Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, give me Grandma's Flashes, It's Nasty. And he gave me all these songs that sound like Genius of Love. And I just went crazy on them. Taking Grandma's Flash, going, 2 turntables, 2 turntables. And the crowd was just going crazy. And I just kept flipping records back and forth on the turntables, going back and forth, left and right, back and forth, just killing all the records at the same time. And then the last one I put on was Yellow because nobody ever heard that song before. And I brought it from home and it went, yah! And then everybody just went crazy, like, what is this? And I just rocked the crowd. And the other DJ left, and then one DJ was left. He said, man, how you get up here? I said, well, my friends drove me. He said, you got to ride home? I said, no. I said, I'm going to take you home because if I take you home, then I got a job. I'm the driver. So his name was Iceberg.
Okay.
I taught him. He was from Atlanta.
You won the contest.
I taught him how to DJ.
Okay, you won the contest, obviously. I got 2 questions, however. Why did you pick the name Egyptian Lover years before?
Well, growing up in the hood, everybody had their names on the back of their jackets. And everybody was picking gangster names. So like Knock You Out, One Punch, 22, all kind of whatever gangster names they can have. And I noticed they was having fights every day trying to protect their name. And I said, wow, well, I'm going to make my name like a lady's name, like Egyptian Lover. So instead of fighting, maybe the ladies will want to talk to me or something. So I put Egyptian Lover on my jacket, and I just kept the name.
Okay. Now, the other question, the same question I asked your friend, Chris Love Taylor, when you were learning to scratch, how many needles did you break?
None. We had some great needles.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was one of the things I said, well, I never scratched, but the few attempts I did, the expensive needles I broke, I said, this is not going to happen with this daddy. Oh, I just stayed away from that. But your career took an interesting twist once you joined Uncle Jam's Army. Uncle Jam's Army, for my listeners out there, was the premier party promoting team out here from the early 80s up until, about 85, 87?
Yeah, like 87.
87 or so.
But sure, even after that, yeah, they was doing a lot.
Right,
They stopped doing mini parties, but still was doing it.
Okay, but around 1984, you guys took a turn. You decided to make a record. Uncle Jam's Army Party Promoters were now a record company, which, can you tell how you and Roger Clayton, the founder of Uncle Jam's Army, at what moment did the light come on and say, hey, we don't have to just be party promoters. Let's go in the studio and then cut some jams. How did that happen?
Well, ever since I've been in high school doing the mixtapes, putting raps on tapes, I've been wanting to make a record. So it was always in the back of my mind, I want to make a record. So when I got with Uncle Jam's Army, and I saw how many people were coming to the parties, I'm like, man, we should do a record. And, of course, nobody in the whole crew knew how to rap. So it was always in the back of my mind, okay, I need to do a record. I need to get my name as popular as possible with Uncle Jam's Army. So I make a record, at least these people will buy the record. So eventually I got real popular by DJing. And then a friend of mine said, hey, man, there's a lot of cats out here copying your style of DJing, but there's this one cat that came from New York that's DJing at the club radio that doesn't have your style. He has his own style because he never heard you mix before. His name is Africa Islam. So I went down to the radio and I checked him out, and I was like, oh, cool. It's a different style of mixing and cutting and scratching. So I said, Africa Islam, that's kind of cool. It sounds like Africa Nabata. They're like, oh, yeah, man, I know him. You're not calling my pops. Da-da-da-da. I said, you know him? I said, well, how did they get that drum sound on Planet Rock? He said, oh, it wasn't a drum. It was a drum machine. And nobody knew what a drum machine was back then. I'm like, a drum machine? And so I said, oh, what kind? What is it? He said, they got them in the guitar.
What year is this you having this conversation?
82.
Okay, 82.
1982.
You were introduced to the 808. Was it an 808 drum machine at the time?
Yeah. So he told me they had them at the Guitar Center. So we went down to the Guitar Center. He showed me what it was, the Roland TR 808. And I had the sales clerk help me program Planet Rock on it. And then I just started adding beats to it and changing it up a little bit. And when I was listening to it, I said, man, this sounds like a record already. You don't need anything. And people in the Guitar Center was coming up behind me and looking at it and like, oh, shit, I got to buy this thing. I can make beats. And so I bought it, took it home, and I had like 2 weeks before the next sports arena party. And I just filled the whole drum machine full of beats. And then I brought it to the sports arena party, and I started playing Planet Rock. And right on the breakdown of Planet Rock, I played the 808 and turned down the Planet Rock record and kind of peeked at all 10,000 people at the LA Sports Arena, and they were still dancing. And in my mind, I was like, ha, 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 I got them dancing. Then I started adding beats to it and changing the beats up and breaking it down and changing it up. And then a couple people started saying, what record is that? What record is that? And then Roger came over to me and said, man, what record is that? I said, man, it's not a record, it's a drum machine. And he peeked over and said, you're playing music out of that? I said, this is the only thing playing right now. And he freaked out. And then the whole crowd.
You're listening to Vibes Live Radio with Robin Lynn.
Then I said, check this out. And I changed the beat, and it was this crazy beat going with a bunch of bass kick drums going everywhere, like boom, 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 boom. And this was way back when Planet Rock was just boom, 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 boom. So, I was doing like crazy beats, and the whole crowd just started freaking like crazy. There was a dance called The Freak, and everybody started doing the dance, and everybody was screaming like, yeah. So I got on the microphone, and I said, yes, 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 yes. And I told everybody to say it after me, and everybody started screaming, yes, yes, yes. And Rod said, okay, we need to do a record. We need to do a record. I said, yeah, we need to do a record. So that weekend we went to the studio and we recorded Yes, Yes, Yes. And then I also wrote a song called Dollar Freak and put that on the other flip side of Yes, Yes, Yes. And that was Uncle Jam's Army's first record. So it was actually me and Roger Clayton. We went half and half on the Freak Beat label. And we did our first record, brought it to the radio station. The radio station put it on right away, and many requests was called in for that record, and it was just started a
Greg Mack at K-Day at the time.
Yes, and it was just a big thing at the time. Everybody loved that sound. People started copying the sound, and everybody. There was actually a song called "Hello Baby" by MCQP. Dr. Dre was doing it. Arabian Prince. Everybody heard that sound. That I took the beats from like Kraftwerk and made them kind of funky. And then I took the lyric style from Prince, and got the idea of putting a sexy Prince style rap to a futuristic electronic beat from Kraftwerk, and said, yeah, that's gonna be my sound. That's gonna be the Egyptian Lover sound. Then everybody started copying it. They called it the West Coast sound, but it was really something that I created. Listening to both of those groups, and being a rapper and being a rapper and a DJ at the same time, I kind of got the idea when I saw you DJing. I went in your club one time, and you were DJing. You started rapping on the mic.
Take that phone out. Excuse me, everybody. I did not turn my phone off. Okay? And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Greg.
So I went to the club, and I saw you DJing. Then I also saw you get on the mic, and you start doing a rap. I said, oh, wow, he's DJing and rapping. That means I could do both. I don't have to just pick DJing or rapping. I could actually do both. So I started DJing and rapping and doing the whole thing. So I figured then I don't need nobody else to work with me. I could just do everything on my own. So then I went back to the studio after we did Dollar Freaking Yes, 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 because I was so excited about that record. I went back in and I made Egypt. And I brought it out, and I played it for Roger and Uncle Jam's Army, and it's like, wow, this song is even better than Dollar Freaking Yes, Yes, Yes. But we can't pull it out. We have to hold it. So we held the record back for 7 months, and then we put it out because we didn't want to kill Dollar Freak. But I thought we could put them out at the same time and just keep making records, just make a bunch of records. But so I didn't like that really, and so I said, you know what, I need my own record label so I can put out music when I want to put it out. So I started Egyptian Empire Records and kind of left Freak Beat to Uncle Jam's Army, and still did like 50-50 with them, but I also have my own Egyptian Empire Records.
Okay. Now, you were heavily influenced, and I say heavily because there was no other DJ that I know who took the turn that you did with their creation of the electro-funk hip-hop. I mean, now, Planet Rock was one thing. You took it to another level. How influential was the German group, I think they were from Germany, Kraftwerk, in conceptualizing your musical path from that point on when you left Uncle Jam's Army to start?
Oh, they were very, very important to the cause. I mean, Kraftwerk was the future electronic beat. And then Planet Rock took it and made it a little bit more funky by adding a little more bottom end to it and just made it more danceable. Because when you play Kraftwerk's numbers, I mean, the beat, the bass just wasn't there. It was a good groove to listen to, but once you put it at a party over those Serum Vegas speakers, the bass just was not there. So Planet Rock had that bass, and that's what I was into, that beat, you know. And then when I got the 808 and made it even more bassier, I made Egypt and just made it more funkier, more bassier, you know, more for the urban city to party to. And then while I was in the studio, the engineer actually wanted to milk that. He was getting paid by the hour, so he wanted to milk the time. So he told me that he had to, you know, mix the record, bring every sound up one by one, and EQ it, and, you know, make it quiet. So we bought these gates that takes the noise out of the sound and makes it sound clean. And it sounded good, but it took a long time to do it. So it took like 4 hours just to get the beat EQ'd, then another 2 or 3 hours just to get the synths and the vocals EQ'd. And it was just like stalling time just so he can make more money. But in the end, the song came out, you know, sonically incredible. So it was like, wow. So even 35 years later, the song still sounds better than a lot of songs that are out right now because it was so engineered and mixed and mastered so well.
Now, you're one of the few DJs, East Coast or West, who still travels extensively all over the world. Tell us how you first noticed that your sales overseas were increasing, your popularity was increasing. How did that happen? And it didn't just start out when you just put out your first record. There must have been a gradual awareness of you worldwide. How did that come about?
Well, so as soon as I put the record out, I was kind of lucky because the 1984 Olympics were happening in L.A. Right. And K-Day was playing the record. Kiss FM was playing the record. A lot of people were playing the record. Every club in L.A., no matter where you went to, was playing the record. No matter if they was playing a disco or whatever, they would also play my stuff. So all the Olympic people that was coming here to watch the Olympics and all the people that were in the Olympics, when they went to these parties, they heard this record. And a lot of them recorded it off K-Day, and a lot of them recorded, you know, different things. I went to the record store and said, what's the hottest records out here? Because we don't have music in Poland. And they would buy the hottest records. And I just happened to be one of the hottest records at that time. So I used to get fan mail from all over the world saying, hi, my cousin was in the Olympics, and they brought a tape back, and I would love to buy your music. They took a picture of this record, and I need to buy your music. And I thought that's how it spread. But then there was this one company in New York, and they were buying a lot of my 12 inches. I mean, a lot. So, like, they'll buy 5,000, then they'll order another 5,000 a week later. Then they'll order 10,000 a week later, and then, you know, another 5,000, another 10,000. And so eventually it was up to like 300-something thousand copies, and they already paid for them, and they was ordering another 20,000 copies. So then they fly out to New York. New York must be booming. New York must be booming because I'm selling all these records in New York, but I ain't getting no shows in New York. So I took a flight to New York, went to the record store, and there was a tiny record store. It looked like somebody's bedroom or something. And I went to my spot where it said the Egyptian Lover card was at. There was like 5 records in there. Like, he just ordered like $20,000 worth of records. Where are all the records at? And so he came on and said, oh, man, Egyptian Lover, man, you're making me rich. I said, you're making me rich, too. I said, what's going on? He says, all the music I buy from you, I export it over to London and Germany and all of Europe. I'm like, so he was the only one exporting them, and he was exporting a lot of them. So then all the fan mail I was getting from London and Germany and France and all those places, I knew now it's starting to make sense that it wasn't everybody at the Olympics.
Right.
It was a handful at the Olympics, but now he was exporting it and he was putting my name out there. So I was like, oh, thanks, man. This is cool. And that's how the exporting started for me. And then I started doing shows out there probably when the internet kicked off and MySpace was a thing. I joined MySpace, and then people could actually find me now because, you know, back in the day you have to have my phone number or an office line or a fax number, and a lot of people didn't have that. So now you can just Google my name and they'll say MySpace, and they'll hit me up on MySpace. Hi, are you the real Egyptian lover? We would love to have you in Paris. We would love to have you in Holland. You know, and I was like, yeah, this is me. Da 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 da. Then I'll give them my email address, and then start hitting me, you know, professionally.
Right.
And then the internet just started going on and on and on, and that's how I started getting more and more bookings. And then the word of mouth. He has a great show, and then it just kept going on and on and on to this very day.
Wow. Okay. You recently completed a project last year, as a matter of fact, which takes us back to 1984. Can you tell us about that project and basically what inspired you to do that? Because I understand you used the same techniques to record this album that you used in the original analog version of the record, same machines. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah. So I called the album 1984 because I went back to the same studios I used in the year 1984. And I used the same equipment, the same 808 drum machine, the Jupiter 8 synthesizer, the same vocoder. And I used the same style of writing the songs. So I actually went to the studio, made the beat, and programmed the same way I did back in the day and laid the tracks down the same original way I did back in 1984 and came out with the same sound. Now you got 12 brand new songs that sound like I made them back in 1984, but actually I made them in 2014, 2015. And the record it was so popular that I'm actually recording 1985 right now. And I got Nucleus in on it. I got Ron Atkins from Cybertron in on it. And it's a great album.
Wow. Yes, it is.
Now it's coming out in 2018.
Okay. Now, you've got, you still have your own label. Are there any other artists that you work with or you produce on your label that you want to know about, or anything, any upcoming projects from Egyptian Lover besides the one you just mentioned for 2018?
No, I'm pretty busy working on my own stuff, and I'm my own booking agent, you know, my own artist, my own record label, so I got like a full-time job doing those three things.
I got you.
So,
you working in the documentary?
No time for nobody else.
Right.
Oh, yeah, a movie, a documentary.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing that, and then I'm also writing movies.
Okay, can you talk about it, or are you trying to keep things under wraps?
Yeah, it's under wraps right now.
Okay, I got you. Are we going to be seeing a book from Egyptian Lover, Bristol?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I'm working on all that right now.
You got a title for it yet?
Not yet. It's probably just going to be The Egyptian Lover.
Right. Now, you've also worked with Chris the Glove Taylor?
Yeah, that was back in the radio days when I went back in club radio and met Africa Islam. They had Ice-T there, and they had Chris the Glove Taylor. You know, I knew Chris from the neighborhood, so we were like, oh, yeah, cool. So we all started DJing, having fun at the club radio and just enjoying ourselves as kids, just enjoying music.
Okay. He's on our show this week also. Now, taking us back to radio and the Radiotron, you're one of the few artists who remember. How influential do you think that club was, first the radio and later became the Radiotron, in the development of a hip-hop scene here in Los Angeles?
Well, Radiotron was, I think, a percentage of what I was already doing with Uncle Jam's Army. And Radiotron was on a smaller scale compared to what Uncle Jam Army was already doing. And Uncle Jam Army even had more elements to the hip-hop world. I mean, Radiotron had the graffiti writers, the break dancers, and the DJ, and, of course, the MC. And Uncle Jam Army had all that, plus they had punk rockers, and they had mod, and they had the Freaketeers, and they had parts of the hip-hop world on the West Coast that's not even known to the world, because it was more of a Uncle Jam Army thing. I mean, these mod guys used to wear these trench coats with buttons all the way down one side of the thing, and they used to do these dances called the mod dances. And the punk rockers would actually love the hip-hop music, but there were so many punk rockers there that we had to actually mix some punk rock into our sets just to keep them happy, like 1 or 2 songs a night just to keep them happy. And that's where we got our style from, like Me and the Glove wearing the spikes on our hands, and that all came from the punk rockers and the new wave crews and all that kind of stuff. So it was Uncle Jam's Army was a bigger world, and Club Radio was like a country. Uncle Jam's Army was a planet, and Radiotron was a country.
Okay. Now, you travel all over the world. Obviously, you would love to do this forever, but do you see any end to your touring? And you have a very heavy tour schedule. You're popular in so many countries, I'm not even going to try to list them. But basically, you're one of the few DJs whose popularity has continued to grow. What do you attribute that to?
The entertainment factor. When you come see my party, you're entertained, and it's not boring. I mean, I'm not just up there playing records. I'm up there playing my vinyl records that I played back in 1980s, and I'm playing my drum machine live and showing the crowd what the drum machine is, because a lot of people don't even know what a drum machine is. They just know the 808 has a kick drum. So I'm showing them the whole machine. I'm picking it up and showing it to them. I'm rocking it with them. Then I'm performing my own songs and doing my old school dance steps. And I'm giving them a whole element of the Egyptian lover, the evolution of the Egyptian lover. And they're entertained. When they leave, they're like, wow, he wasn't just a DJ. He was actually an entertainer. He entertained us, and I want to see him again. And that's why the promoters who were there from different festivals, different clubs, say, man, I was at your show at blah, 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 and I have to have you on this festival, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's just going on and word of mouth. And thanks to the internet, and I'm doing shows like for Red Bull Music Academy, and also I'm doing things for Boiler Room. And it's just incredible. So YouTube and Boiler Room shows, you see them on there. Like I just did one in Vietnam, and they did a Boiler Room with Budweiser, and it's incredible. People love watching it. And so when promoters watch this, I got to have him at my festival. So it's like I'm booked up all the way this year. I'm solid booked up, and I'm already booking shows for 2018.
This is Egyptian Lover on Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip Hop, and this is truly a worldwide traveler. Greg Rashad, Mr. Egyptian Lover, we want to thank you for your contribution to hip hop and for all you've done for the West Coast. And we'd like to know, where can people find your music on the internet for purchase, my brother?
If I were you, I would go to bandcamp.com. Bandcamp.com has all my they have my anthology from Stones Throw on there from 1983 to 1988, also my 1984 album, and I put a new one out called Instrumentals and Demos, which is a bunch of instrumental tracks and demos that never came out, and people actually love this, who love music and love beats. So you can find all my stuff on bandcamp.com as well as all the other digital sites. And you can also find the vinyl in record stores.
Spell that for us right quick so they do the B or B. Spell it for us where they can go.
B, Bandcamp, Bandcamp. Bandcamp.
B is in boy.
Yeah.
B is in boy. Okay, got you. All right. Mr. Egyptian Lover, Red Prasad, I want to thank you for your time. Vibes Live, LA, and Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip Hop. Really appreciate the time you've taken to illuminate your history and your contribution to hip hop. And we want you to... Egyptian Lover.
She said, Egypt, 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 Egypt. Sing, man. Egyptian lover, baby. Egyptian lover, baby. nation with a total female population. I can deal with that situation. I don't care about my reputation. Give me a freaky, kinky nation with a total female population. I can deal with that situation. I don't give a fuck about my reputation. Say, Egyptian lover since he's enjoying not just the name, it's an adventure. He licks so fast, he scratched so sweet. There's not another DJ on earth who can compete. The livest lover in the world. You know it. And what's my motherfucking name? Egyptian lover. Egypt is the place to be. Egypt, Egypt. 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 With the pyramids all so shiny. Egypt, Egypt. The women here are oh so cute. Egypt, Egypt. The freaks are on the floor now. Egypt, Egypt. Dancing to beats I compute. Egypt, like this. Baby, can't you feel it? Ooh. 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 Yeah. We fucked up. Stop. Grind, stomp, and grind, stomp, and grind, stomp, and grind. Come on, everybody. Stomp, and grind, stomp, and grind, stomp, and grind, stomp, and grind, stomp. Everybody, come along, let's leave this boring USA. Egypt is the place to be where all the lovers play. Little girl, you think you find stars from Hollywood. Well, matched up to Santa Ana, you never could look so good. Help. Everybody, come along, let's leave this boring USA. Egypt is the place to be where all the lovers play. Little girl, you think you find stars from Hollywood. Matched up to the women, and you never could look so good. Everybody, come along, let's leave this boring USA. Egypt is the place to be where all the lovers play. Little girl, you think you find stars from Hollywood. Matched up to Santa Ana, you never could look so good. Check it out. Stomp and grind. Total female population. I can deal with that situation. I don't care about my reputation. Give me a freaky, kinky nation with a total female population. I can deal with that situation. I don't care about my reputation. Here you go. And grind, stomp, stomp and grind, 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 and grind, and grind.
You're listening to Vibes Live Radio with Robin Lynn.
Hello out there, Disco Daddy here, Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip Hop. How's everybody doing today? This is our inaugural show, our first one, and it is a whopper. A whopper. We've got giants on this show, people who have made a name for themselves in hip hop, legends. And as you all know, hip hop is the only genre and we're lucky to have one of the movers and shakers of the movement with us today, Mr. Chris the Glove Taylor. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good, man. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, man. Growing old gracefully. We'd like to start off with you on our show, telling us a little bit about you. You're known all over the world through your work with some giants. And I'm not going to name drop. I'm going to let you do that, okay? But first, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about how you started and what made you become a DJ, what led you into the music field in the first place, a little bit about your background, where you're from, and what Chris the Glove Taylor is all about. Take it from here.
Right on, brother. Well, first of all, I want to say, man, it's an honor to be talking to you on the phone, man. We don't get very many conversations together. We always being moved around, you know. But,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's an honor for me, my brother.
Oh, yes, sir. But listen, so I'll tell you, the funny thing is what really got me to want to be a DJ, I was on 96 in Western, man, at this little club, the Workshop. And the Workshop,
I remember that club.
A DJ, Disco Daddy.
Wow.
I'll never forget that.
Thank you.
And I mean, it was the way it used to play all night thing, man. GQ, or Invisible Man's Band. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes,
boom.
sir.
Man, we used to go off on that one, brother. So anyway, I was.
How old were you then?
16, sneaking in.
Okay, sorry to bring you out like that, but we want to keep everything in perspective. It was a teenage club.
Yes. Yeah, it was a teenage club, but you had to be 16. I was not quite 16. I graduated from high school at 16, so I was trying to do those things. I had moved to advancing grades, you know, and so I was hanging with older people at a younger age, so I couldn't get in a lot of places. But since I was tall, it made it seem like
you were able to pull it off.
Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up on over there on Western and 77th, and then when I moved over to Ladera Heights here, tried to play basketball, got into that, and it turned out it wasn't really happening. I went to college for aeronautical engineering and decided one day walking down La Cienega, I wanted to be something that I felt that I could be the best in the world at, and it wasn't playing basketball. And there hadn't been a Michael Jordan yet either. So, you know, no space shuttle and no Michael Jordan. I was trying to create the space shuttle, and I ended up with, you know, becoming a kind of on a space shuttle, man. So, you know, guys like you, I don't know if you remember Jammin' Gene. You remember Jammin' Gene?
No, I heard the name, but because I worked at a club every night, I wasn't able to go out.
I know the feeling, brother. I figured they was trying to come where you were. That's why I figured you might have known these cats, because you was holding down that residency.
Right.
So, yeah, he used to play at my high school when I was at Inglewood. So he never mixed on beat, though. That's why I liked your place, because he would just play records. It was like the radio. And I was just, you know, coming up and all of this. And then, you know, at the same time, Sugar Hill Gang comes out and, you know, Still Kids. And then Grandmaster Flash comes out with that record, man, The Wheels of Steel. The Adventures on the Wheels of Steel. And he's making these sounds, man. And I'm like, what is this? It's the record rocking back and forth. That's what got me sprung.
Okay. Okay. So where did you go to hone your techniques? Because as far as I'm aware, there was nobody out here actually doing that.
Yeah, there was.
How did you start learning to scratch?
Okay, so it was a trip. There was no physical representation of it. I never saw. It was no YouTube, as you're aware. This is for the younger generation. They can't even understand. I just had to explain to my daughter that you used to only be able to get music off the radio. She's just shocked with that. So, you know. So I got with I tried to visualize what was happening because I couldn't really. I had only seen. That's why I was coming to the clubs to see what you guys were doing, to see, you know. And
I wasn't scratching
the motions. No, but I saw the motions. You know, you were cueing. You were cueing.
Right. Right.
And it's the same thing. But see, I had no concept of it at all. I had never seen a DJ do anything. I just heard that thing, and then I started seeing guys like you and Gene move the records, and so it kind of came when I finally got. I didn't know anything about it. I got my dad to buy me turntables and a mixer, and I put that record on there. I figured out what the system was. You know, I did my little investigation, and when I did it, I said, "This is what that is. It's just out loud." I was like, "Wow!" And so I started practicing in my garage over on 6128, man, killing it. I used to have kids there watching, man.
How many needles did you break?
Oh.
DJ to DJ, how many needles did you break learning to do that? Teaching yourself.
You know, no one ever asked me that question, bro. And I'm gonna tell you,
I'm a DJ just like you, my brother.
Yeah, and it's hilarious.
I tried it. See, I tried, but when I broke my first needle and the techniques I was using, that was it for me. I said, no, this is crazy. I'm gonna stick to what I do.
Expensive. Man, look, them Stanton was too expensive, them cartridges.
Yeah.
680E.
They were expensive.
And whoa, but I broke about maybe 50 of them, bro. I used to, hey, I'm going to tell you a secret, man. I never told nobody this. But when I used to be able to get into the clubs, I would steal them.
A needle?
I would take the needle right out the slot. DJ be looking for it.
Hey,
I did
it was serious.
Jackson.
I hear you.
I would slide them back out like, yes, sir.
So you get your turntables, your sets. Then what did you do? How did you start doing parties or what? Or did you hook up with some of the early crews? How did that process happen?
Well, I'll tell you what. When I first started, I had these SLB1 turntables. Now, you remember belt-driven tables, you had to be gentle with those. So,
yes.
You know, extremely gentle. You had to develop a touch. So that's the beauty of it was, for what I was trying to do, there were no slip mats either. It was like get the plastic in between the records. Remember that plastic sleeve? You the plastic,
and you put it over the put it over the
top of it and put it over there. And so
yes, sir.
That developed a touch, and so you could develop. You had to know how to hit it without spinning it, because you would hit it in the plastic. The record would brrr. You had to know how to. So I'm gonna tell you, I developed that, and I got the blessing of one crew. My boy DJ Reg, shout out to DJ Reg. He was DJing for a Capri Club at Chevy Hills Park, and he was a person who let me get on the turntables first in public. But I mean, I used to. Now there was one person before I did with Julian Jackson. I went to the New York subway, and I used to play up there, but nobody saw me.
Okay.
So, you know, Reg was the Capri Club. I didn't join the crew. I'm totally independent. That's why people talk about Uncle Jam's Army and all of them. I would go run through those crews and serve the DJs. And, you know, if y'all ain't better than me, I don't need to be in the crew.
Were you involved with the Radiotron?
Oh, well, that was – now, there's this – right there is a tricky question. Radio was the club.
There you go.
So I DJ'd at Radio. Radio was the groundbreaking place where all the hip-hop artists, the graffiti artists, the dancers all developed their stuff in that place on Park View over there. Radio.
What year we talking? What year we talking now?
We talking 1983, early 83. Run DMC is just now popping, and you know it's now a few other rappers. You know, Curtis Blow had hits and all of that now. And so, I'm playing over there now. Then the club Radio created such a force in the city. There used to be a magazine in the LA Times called Calendar. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. The Calendar used to be the biggest thing coming. Every Sunday, all entertainers was waiting on that to see what they got to write up or what was popping. And we had the cover. They looked on there, and on the cover of the Calendar was Radio, the line of the club. And they're like, what the hell is this? This 1983. And so then all of a sudden we got a big boom over there, not just the eclectic stars mixed in with the 13-year-old breakdancers, but then public started coming through and movie producers came through and they saw it and they came up with breaking and they called the club in the movie the Radiotron. And so that day we had agreed that Super AJ, KK, me, Ice, all those cats, me and Ice was the talent, but those guys on the club, they decided to close. When the movie came out, they closed the club.
Wow.
Because they said that the legend, that was it. You got a movie.
Wow. Never knew that.
So then Radiotron popped up. They may have had something to do with it. Me and Ice was there opening night. I played there the first night, and I never went back. That became some other guys. I don't, Antron and those cats, but see what they did.
Right.
Now I'm gonna call them out. Man, that's why I'm saying all that, right?
Go ahead, do that. You can do that. You're OG.
Yeah. There you go. We can do that. That's right. So Trip, they rely on the legend of radio to boost the Radiotron because Radiotron wasn't even a year, man. It wasn't even around that long.
Right.
And there was a bunch of kids from Santa Ana. It wasn't even the same, man. It was not. Sting didn't go there. Prince didn't go there. Michael Jackson didn't go there. Madonna didn't perform on stage with me and Ice-T there,
Okay.
Radiotron is really just the movie. And anything that people say about Radiotron, it just kind of, I know how you feel. Let's just put it like that.
Righteous. Okay. Now, Ice-T, you mentioned him. How did you first meet him?
It was a funny thing. Radio. I come in. When I got actually, that's how I got my name to the club. We can jump to that. So I'm loading. I used to work for Audio Entertainment, which was you had to do both if you DJ'd. You had to have a source of equipment. So I used to work for the guys. So when I had gigs, I could have speakers and turntables and stuff.
Was he called Ice-T at that time?
Did he
call himself Ice-T then?
He was Ice-T, and he had a record out called Cold Wind Madness. He was the coldest rapper.
I beat him in the rap contest, right, at the Carolina Western 81. You didn't know that at that time, though, because it wasn't a big thing.
No, I did know that. Let me tell you something. I knew that, and I'm going to tell you why we used to say you won that contest. You had a record. You bad times is with them, and you rapped over that first.
No, that Bad Times, that was Captain Rap.
I know that was Captain Rap, but I remember hearing you rap over that instrumental. I swear I thought I did. But anyway.
The Rich K sound. Yeah, Rich K sound of the original. Right.
That's what it was.
Right, Rich K sounds was originally, and he died, and then Duffy. Right.
That one.
Right.
That's a funky beat right there, bro.
What year did you meet Ice? Was he calling himself Ice-T at that moment? When I rapped against him at the Carolina West, he was just calling himself Trey. This was August 1981.
Okay,
and he won.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He won the first week. It was a 2-week contest. He won the first week, but the club was so packed, and it was the first time KGFJ sponsored it. The first time the radio station and the nightclub saw that people will come out for this new music. That's what it was all about, actually. It was an experiment by KGFJ. Ice beat me the first week, and I was, a well-known DJ, and I was crushed. The next week I came back. They said, let's come back. Let's do this next week, because the club owners loved it. Naturally, Carolina West was packed. So they came back the next week. I beat him, and that's when Duffy Hooks walked up out of the audience and offered me the recording contract. But he wasn't called Ice-T then. Right. So when you met him, he was calling himself Ice-T at that time.
Yeah, he had already lost to you because that's what made him, the thing I thought about that, because I heard about that, and I was like, well, Carolina West, they older than us. Ice is older than me by 5 years. So he okay. Ice is, I think he's 5 years older than me. I'm pretty sure. Okay. He's pretty close to 60. So he, it was, for me, I was young, and I was like, man, that's Carolina West. My auntie and them go there. They older. You know what I mean, though, right? When you
to be 21 to get in there. Yeah, I remember.
And so 21 was like, whoa, they too old. They don't know about this. Ice, remember now, our radio was from 13. That you can get in at 13 years old. They didn't sell alcohol. You could bring your own. you know?
Right.
And they didn't trip. It wasn't no fights. It wasn't nothing, man. It was always good.
Right.
But, see, we used to be in, I'll go to your spot, teen. I'm a teenager, and I'm hearing about Carolina West. We used to go try to catch the bus to walk by just to see it. Man,
right.
with the yellow brick road, remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, baby. So, anyway, when I met him, I was delivering these speakers, actually, and this isn't when I met Ice, but I delivered the speakers. The club owner said, hey, I heard you're a DJ. What's your DJ name? I said, Chris. They was like, we're going to give you a name. When you come back, you come tonight, we'll see if you're any good. So I went, got my stuff, came with my one crate, because I didn't carry no bunch of records, bro. I wasn't about that. I came in there, and Ice-T was on stage rapping, and my name was up there on a marquee above. It said The Glove, Chris the Glove.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I'll take it.
That's how you got the name?
That's how I got my name. I first saw it in lights.
Wow. Never knew that either, Chris. Wow. I thought maybe you wore a glove or something like that to work with the turntables.
Well,
Revelations, you guys.
Yeah, but check it out. They named me that because I wore these big, oversized gloves to move those Sherwin-Vegas because they were always smashing my fingers. So, and I'm a DJ, so you can't mess with my hands, right? I'm like overprotected.
Right.
And they
that. Wow.
And so once I started DJing, then I developed it and I put the glove in right away. You know, that's it.
Right on. Right on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Ice I met him in 80, the end of the beginning of 82. This all happened within a year, all of this stuff. It went from, I started in like 82-ish, the end-ish, and 83, the end, we had already shot the movie. It wasn't even
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any work to do? Did you do any work in the film itself?
I was in the film as myself, yeah, and I composed, I scored all the scenes in the club. I scored 2.
Go ahead.
That was like, yeah, it was a trip because, you know, little black boy up in there, you know, there wasn't too many of them doing that for them big movies.
Right. Right.
They were like, we need something authentic like this. They weren't calling it hip hop. It was rap and something else. They were calling it.
Right. Hip hop wasn't.
No,
exactly.
Hip hop didn't come along for many years. So then they said, my girlfriend at the time was listening. She ear hustled. You know, I had a Jewish girlfriend, and she was like, "Yo, you need to go up over there."
Darlene Ortez, Ice-T's first girlfriend.
Darlene, yeah, she was. Darlene was. Lisa Maps was the one that was hanging around when I was there. First.
Oh, okay. She's not the one on the album cover with the holding the shotgun. Is she?
No, she's the second girlfriend. She's even the original. Okay. But yeah, that's Darlene. That's my homegirl too. Lisa's cool too, but Darlene is great, man. Shout out to Darlene Ortiz with her book out there.
Yeah, she wrote a book. I haven't read it yet though. So Chris,
me neither.
You develop a relationship with Ice-T, and he gets to a recording contract and he gets some records out, and you end up working with him.
Well, okay, that's kind of not how it happened. This is what happened.
How did it happen?
At the same time we doing this movie, Back to the Ear Hustler, right?
Mm-hmm.
So remember, Ice is in the movie. Nobody's thinking about a record. Everybody's being in the movie. And so when my girl was like, go tell him you do the music, I was like, okay, I could get me a little more than this little $1,200 a week. I could go get some money. So I went and told him I had never wrote any music, but I told him I did. I had a drum machine. I knew that. And I got the score. I got the contract. And then after I did the score, they said, you know, we would like to have a rapper on it. Can you do take one of the pieces and make it into a rap? I was like, sure. So picked up Ice-T in the middle of the night, or he met us and shot to the studio, and we put Rap Reckless on top of the score.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the score. That was not we made a record. We made the record after. So that was the only record I worked on with Ice-T. 4 million copies later, you know. So
okay.
I mean, you know.
And in fact, in fact, we could sort of say that was your first time actually doing producing or getting your fingers wet.
That was my first record I ever produced ever. Yeah, that was pretty much
the first time I
had been in the studio.
Wow. Okay.
I had to pay the guy to learn. Since I had been, the thing was, I had learned some things when I was recording. I hired an engineer, got the money, paid the studio. So back up just a touch. While I was DJing, we used to do these bootlegs. I had a few of these vinyl bootlegs, like mixtapes, but on wax. And so I had these cats, Victor Flores, Carlos Mangalo. They would come with me. They hooked me up. They're from Pico Rivera out there with the Latin DJs. They used to DJ at Florentine Gardens and these big clubs, you know.
Wow. Well, I remember on Hollywood Boulevard, yeah.
Yeah, and I was enthralled with that, like, wow. And so we started making stuff together, right? You know, I'm still only 19. And so we making stuff together, and we making a few of them. We did a few of these mixers. He's famous. Victor's famous for the Michael Jackson mixer that came out years ago. He did this Michael Jackson amazing mix. It was really a mashup before the name mashup came up. So I mean, he got world famous from that thing. So after that, that guy Victor is the one who introduced me to Dave Storrs, who co-produced all that stuff with me. He was the guy who knew how to do everything. Dave Storrs taught me how to be an engineer and how to produce. And you know what he did? I would ask him a question. I said, hey, man, what does this knob do? He said, turn it. Tell me what it did. Every time.
Wow.
That's how I learned. Yep.
That's the best way possible.
Man, and he taught me that. And then he gave me the freedom to turn it all the way up, because people are scared to do that. They turn in increments and they inch their way around these engineers. They busters. You got to get in there and get that machine cooking. If you don't see no red lights, it ain't going to be no heat.
So you never went to school for engineering?
I went to school for aeronautical engineering, which is rocket
aeronautical engineering, but not being a DJ in the studio. But because you did go for aeronautical engineering, you sort of had a rudimentary knowledge of maybe electronics and stuff like that. It was easy probably to catch on.
Yeah, aeronautical engineering gives you a whole lot more than rudimentary. After I got into calculus in high school, I could understand a lot of stuff. And so once like I told you, I had the record, but I couldn't visualize it. So I had to reverse engineer it. Like, you know, who does that?
Right.
So, yeah, I understood. It was, you're right. It was just the word engineering is the one that sticks. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to get that. I understood it. I like music. Turn the knob. It's working. Oh, I like turning these knobs. I like sitting here all day. I could chill in this room all day. I like listening to that one part a million times. People can't do that.
Let's fast forward to Dr. Dre.
Oh, there's that name.
Yep, because we got about 10 minutes, and I want to get that part in because you were Dr. Dre's first DJ, weren't you?
Negative. I was Dr. Dre and I connected. I went through DJing some more. So after the movie Breaking, then I got into Paradise, which got me into the 1,500 and plus clubs. So I'm DJing these huge clubs. And now I'm actually breaking records. I'm a Billboard reporter. I'm a hot DJ. I'm really making it in the DJ world. Club owners and the record companies know me, and I'm doing remixes. And I'm starting to want to write music. So all this goes on, and I meet Dr. Dre. He's already got his success. He's like another one of those crews I ran through. He's a nemesis. You know, I got Egyptian Lover. He's the only him and Bobcat. Bobcat actually was a kid who I helped put on myself. I put him on on the taste. He's hot. He's a badass DJ, but me and Egypt.
For those of you who don't know, not to interrupt you, Chris, but for those of you who don't know, Bobcat become one of the biggest producers in the business, along with this man I'm talking to, Chris the Glove Taylor. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh yeah. That guy got big records, bro, and that's another beautiful thing. It was like all of this talent. So I met Dre through the clubs. One of my buddies, Dave, introduced me to him and told him I did music. And he knew who I was because I was the only one who had a 4 million seller. None of them dudes were platinum. And see, I didn't
You had a multi-platinum record. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they had a gold record, and they was like, what's that? I didn't even get gold. I don't even have gold. I went to 4 million. I don't have no gold records. And you got to go gold to get platinum. We wouldn't buy it so fast. They didn't even bother. So I've never had a gold record, only platinums. So, and so with that Reckless, with 4 million copies, I mean, there was other records on there that helped push it, of course, in the movie and all that. It wasn't just us. We was just on there. Basically, I feel, but $4 million is $4 million, buddy. What you got? That's what I was on with. Like, what you got? So they went in, they did their persona and did the NWA, and he and I linked up on another level of production, and we just kind of clicked. I was signed to Ruthless. My group was signed to Ruthless, Poor Broken Lonely. I started producing with him, did a few things, and then I went with him to Death Row. You know, and from
never knew that.
History. Yeah, we took over from there. I mean, everything we did had to go platinum.
Let me ask you, what was your experience like in a couple of minutes we got left? I want you to talk about some of your current projects, but what was your experience like? We hear a lot about Death Row, Suge Knight. Was your experience positive or negative with the company, without going into specifics?
Well, I can tell you this. My experience was positively negative. In other words, in the studio, fantastic. On the road, on stage, fantastic. But the antics of Death Row, outside of that, affect all of them. And I've never been hit or touched or I've witnessed some, beat downs. The Lord let me cover with his blood, but I couldn't understand why them cats was taking them. Like, you gonna take that beat down? Man, I'm out of here. If I was, man, look.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was positively negative.
Okay. Did you come out of Death Row? Did you go with Dre when he started Aftermath? Any more work with him after that period?
Okay, so what I did was I left Death Row before all of them, before Tupac and everybody. Everybody think I'm crazy. Next thing you know, they all leaving. Tupac dead, It's all sad. And so Dre started Aftermath, and I was doing some other stuff. I was working on something else, and he called me and said, you want to come? Mike Lynn actually called me, one of my guys that's in the music business, and had me come over there, and I reconnected. We did some other records over there. I worked on a song that's been on the radio every day ever since it's been created, Phone Tap. He and I produced that.
Yes, sir.
And, from there, went on to Explosive, which is on his 2001 record, which is another one that actually Kanye West claims that that's the record that got him back producing, and he sampled it over 6 times. My record, H to the Izzo, that's Glove.
Wow.
That's Glove.
Yes, sir.
That's us.
Chris the Glove Taylor, what are you working on now? I know you're still very active in the business. Tell us about some of your upcoming projects and what you plan to do in the future.
Well, right now I have a project I'm working on called Letters from Cuba. It's going to be a short film about my television series I'm writing. So like an action series about a black family that does these things. I can't get into that. It's very, very positive. You'll love it. But the Letters is a soundtrack that I'm doing, and I have 3 of my new artists, Rocky Duh, Huey, and Via the Great. These are the artists that I'm pushing. Via the Great is
Are they rappers or singers? What do they do?
This is the thing. Like, okay, so like Migos and those mumble rap guys, I got a singer that does something like that to those kind of tracks, but he sings. So you understand the words, and it's melodic. You'll love it. Trust me. And the others are rappers. So, it's hip-hop. It's us. It's me.
So we can look forward to some more work from Chris the Glove Taylor. You also work with Egyptian Liver, right?
Oh, yeah. We did the radio crew together, man. Me and Egypt.
Okay. The radio crew before Uncle Jam's Army, you worked with him then? Before he was with Uncle Jam's Army? Oh, okay.
Well, it's kind of all kind of concurrent. It's all together. Like, all that stuff happened at the same time. I didn't meet him before Uncle Jam's, but I met him, like, when he started. Like, once he popped up on the scene, I met him. And or really, we were in different circles, and our circles finally coincided when we got to Crenshaw.
Okay.
Crenshaw Boulevard, we overlapped, and that was it.
It's my hood. We got to wind it up here. You're listening to Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip Hop with one of the giants of hip hop. It's the Chris the Glove Taylor. Chris, I want to thank you for your time and for what you've contributed to hip hop. All right, worldwide. I have the greatest respect for you, and I wish you nothing but the best, my brother. Hip-hop love.
Man, respect to you, man. Hip-hop love all day. Thank you, Michael Califani, Disco Daddy.
Thank you, my brother. You're listening to Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip-Hop. We want to thank you all for tuning in to our show, and stay tuned. We have some more guests coming your way.
You know, you take a record as it's playing, and you just cut it up to your own specifications. You know, people who make records don't make them perfect. No, I'm just joking. Now there's different styles. There's scratching, there's cutting, there's flashing, and we do a couple of things that we don't have any names for yet. But we'll show you some stuff. This is cutting. I'm gonna let my friend Egyptian Lover show you how he cuts. Cutting will be taking a certain segment of the song and repeating it at his own will, at whatever speed he wants. Like he might go one measure, which is like 4 beats. You know, okay, if you listen, he's repeating the same part over and over again, which is meaningful. Yeah. Flash. Okay, that's scratching. Okay. Cut. Okay, now you notice there's a difference between cutting and scratching. Scratching will be where you'll take the record, stop it,
cutting is spinning back.
Yeah, cutting is back to where you take the record and you repeat one part.
The beat that's got to be the show. You need to take it out, y'all. You don't stop. IC's on the map about ready to rock. I was on the MC, y'all name IC. When the doctor bring a button, it was on the beat. Blessed by the DJ, up above, I reduce delivery on my little fella love. Empty to my mama when she tell me every day. Raps in my bottle when she took my microwave. Raps in my wagon, my bike, my track. I threw down on any sucker that I didn't like. When I get on the mic, so down the beat. Girl jump from the car, rolling down the street. It happened once or twice as a sacrifice to the love of the fear, y'all cool as ice. When I die, y'all, I wanna be pressed into a 12-33, and then give it to you. Then you can't be letting it scratch the gun until the beat goes crazy. Take shit, y'all. You don't stop. That's G. Are you about ready to rock? And that's C. You heard T, and I've been rapping to the beat to the 83. And that's C. Get on the mic. Show the party people just what you.
Vibes Live Radio with Robin Lynn.
Hello out there, Disco Daddy here. You're listening to Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip Hop. And we got a very special show. This is our inaugural show, our very first one, with our guest Egyptian lover, Krista Glove Taylor, the world-renowned hip-hop artist Martin Askem, and a young lady, an up-and-coming rising star in hip-hop. Her name is Miranda Wright. And if you have not heard her name before, you will. Today we're going to get to know Miranda. We're going to know what inspired her to get into hip-hop and what she hopes to accomplish. She's a very talented young lady. I've followed her career on Facebook for the past 3 or 4 years, and I finally got a chance to talk to her. And fellas out there, Miranda Wright is a very beautiful young lady. Okay, so for the next 30 minutes, we're going to get into the life and music of Miss Miranda Wright. Miranda, are you there?
I'm here. Peace. How are you?
All right, peace. Finally got a chance to talk to you.
I know.
Now, this is what it's really something. Now, I followed you on Facebook. You're a very talented lady. You have your own style. I can't say you're like anyone that I've ever seen, male or female, in the hip-hop business. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with your early life. Tell us how, a little bit about yourself as a child, and I understand you had very heavy influences around you, and tell us how that shaped the direction that you decided to take in your life in hip-hop.
So basically, I've just always been a music lover, and I grew up in a household that had like a really strong appreciation for hip-hop. So I remember even when I was like 9, 10, I was able to listen to all the albums that everybody else wasn't allowed to. But it was just because there was just like, my parents, they always had a respect for freedom of expression, so I got to dig deep into that side of music at an early age.
Wow.
So with that being said, basically, just being around music, eventually I started writing music whenever I got into high school. My sophomore year is when I started more on like the poetry side of things. And then from that, I was like, okay, well, how can I have people hear my thoughts? And then that's when I started emceeing.
Now, you've got some very heavy, your family does, friends, Mr. T. LaRock.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay. What type of influence did the OGs have on you growing up? Because I understand that your father had a lot of friends that were into hip-hop. Was your dad himself into hip-hop?
Yeah, actually, both my mom and my dad were both into it, but it was funny because I remember when I just turned 16, when everybody else was having sweet 16s, I just asked for a home studio instead. So my dad was like, okay, and we built a studio in one of the side rooms in our house. But, yeah, in terms of, like, T. LaRock and all of those guys, that I feel like I really understand the roots of hip-hop culture, and I think that's probably part of what's missing now, but I really just respect the people who have paved the way that have made hip-hop grow into this, universal movement that now everybody, no matter what race, age, where you are in the world, people are tapping into it, and that's really cool to see how much it's grown.
That's beautiful. Okay, now, what about your music? I've listened to your music and your videos. You don't use the B word. You don't use the N word. Tell us a little bit about your hip-hop philosophy as it applies to hip-hop records and your writing.
It's funny because a lot of times I'll have people point out, like, you don't curse in your music. And I always say it's one of those things where it's not like I intentionally try not opposed to doing so, but I've just always been a believer in, like, there's so many words in the dictionary that it's like when you really think about it, there's so many just different ways and clever ways to say different things that I don't really find it necessary to have to, like, fill in the blank with, like, a curse, when meanwhile, for me, as a writer, I just kind of, whatever flows and feels right and is more so, like, getting across my point, that's what I put down on paper. Okay.
Now, you've worked with some pretty heavy people recently. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so, I've done, obviously, worked with, like, Keith Shockley and, like, the Public Enemy camp, and then also, I've met Rakim, like, numerous times just from opening up for him, and I've done the Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival, and so I find more so in terms, like, the shows that I do, I end up meeting some pretty awesome and influential people in hip-hop, but I just, keep embracing the journey and embracing the ride of meeting all of these great people.
Right. Okay, that's beautiful. You are serious about this. This is not a hobby for you. This is not a side thing. This is your life. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And keeping that in mind, what do you think of the current fads, or I shouldn't say fads, but some of the current types, styles of rapping, like mumble rap, trap music? Do you feel that there are trends developing which are adverse to the progression of hip-hop, or do you just think it's an evolution of music as music does evolve?
I think right now, like my generation, and I think we've seen this with all the past generations, is like they want to be known, like every generation wants to be known for like a certain sound. And I think what's happened is that there's been so much an influx of great music where the one thing I will say is that we've been used to be hearing such great records where the bar has been set so high, and then somehow I feel like it's turned into like evolution, and then now it's just kind of laziness,
right?
You know, and like for me, I always say, like, different music calls for different times. Like, I understand when people make club records, you know, there's times whenever you just want to be in your car and you want to listen to that. But I always say, like, we need more of, like, the Monday through Friday music, you know? Like, when you hear the radio, everything's always on, like, this constant. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's always, like, this hype vein of, like, let's party and blah, 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 blah. But when you go through real-life things day to day, you understand that life isn't one just big party all the time. And I do think that people are starting to relay that and are asking for more. And I think that's why, you know, Kendrick Lamar has been doing well, and just like, you know, J. Cole and even like Chance the Rapper, because Logic, you know, you have a bunch of people that are relevant that are making solid music, but a lot of people say it's like, at the end of the day, they want artists that help resonate with their soul, because everybody goes through things. And those are the artists that, you know, when years from now that we deem as like classic, whereas the people that are making music and they're getting by, but are we going to be listening to their, you know, records 20, 30 years from now? Probably not.
Right. Now, how does this impact you when a promoter wants to book you? Do they, I haven't been back east in a minute, but do they ask what type of music do you do, or have you experienced types of situations where you won't be booked for a show because you're not a particular style? You don't have a particular style. It's mumble or trap or whatever it might be, the current fad.
Absolutely. I feel like I tend to get a mix. Like, I'll get, you know, the shows that people are like, wow, like, you know, you're spitting something positive and it's really great and, you know, we'd love to have you. And then, you know, especially when it comes to the nightclubs, that's where it also runs into the trouble, because everybody's so used to hearing a certain sound, where it's like if you don't fit in that mold, it's like I feel like a lot of lineups, they make it so all the artists sound the same on the lineup instead of switching it up, which I think is part of a good show. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I definitely have people that embrace what I do, and then there's also a lot of people that I think, you know, they're not necessarily either ready for it, or it's like they have to follow, you know, a certain set of, like, what can be in their venue.
Right. What inspires you? What type of songs do you have any particular type of messages you try to get out, or do you just write from whatever inspires you at the moment? How does your creative process work when you're sitting down with your pen and pencil?
It depends. Like, sometimes, you know, I can be inspired by something, or just like, you know, if I know something's going on in the world. There's been times where I will write songs just because I feel like more people should be talking about it. And then there's other times where it's just like, you know, things that I know in my day-to-day life that other people can relate to. Those are, you know, the ideas that I put down. But overall, I'm probably more influenced just by the things that I go through, because I always say as people, like, we're more alike than we are different. And whatever you're going through, there's always somebody else going through the same thing.
Right. How important is the support of your parents in your career, Miss Joy Newton and Mr. Zulu G?
Oh, I mean, it's just such a blessing because obviously, there's not a lot of parents. If you say, "Oh, I want to MC," they'll be like, "Okay, that's great," So just having their support is, a blessing because it just makes it easier on me in terms of what I want to do and just being able to focus on my craft and getting better without the stress of not having a supportive, foundation behind me.
Right. That's beautiful. And what is an MW warrior?
So
I know what it is.
Yeah.
But explain to the listening audience, please.
Yeah, no, when I came up with MW Warriors, it was just more so the idea of just kind of always finding, your inner strength, your inner peace, and just constantly rising above, the circumstance and whatever you're going through, and just being, your inner best. I always say that everything has to start with self before we can, impact the world around us. A lot of times people will think, if you focus on yourself first, you're selfish, when really that's not the case. If you know how to take care of yourself and you know how to treat yourself right and you are in a positive mental space, then you can take that same energy and give it to other people. So when I came up with the MW Warriors, it just came from a place of just being that type of person that not only do you know how to build yourself up, but you can build up the people around you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, I've seen some of your videos. They are very well produced. Can you tell me some of the people you worked on that, and who comes up with the concept for the videos? Does a producer come to you and say, hey, I've got this story idea, or do you come up with the story ideas and tell the producers, this is what I want to do? How does that creative process work? They're very polished videos, let me say, Miranda Way.
Yes. So I've worked with Jay Papers, and then I've also worked with Michelle G, and they're really creative people, so they're a pleasure to work with. But basically what usually happens is I say, I have a new song that I'd like to do a video for, and this is what I'm envisioning. I give them an overall, concept, this storyboard before sending them the song. And then from there, I basically give them what I have in my mind, and then we kind of together just build upon that and, create a storyboard. And then it always happens that whenever I am somewhere for a video, we end up adding all these random things that we didn't even think about before. And and then usually the finished product just ends up being exactly what I wanted, to begin with. So.
Right. Okay. Well, now, keeping that in mind, if in this day and time, we don't have record companies anymore. So everything, the whole model is different. You have a whole business organization set up for distribution of your music. How does that work now? Are you still is the impetus still to get a record deal, or do you feel it's better for artists to stay independent and control their own musical destiny? How does your machine work?
Well, right now I'm personally independent in terms of signing the deal nowadays. Well, one thing is that I've learned is that in order for you to even get a decent record deal, you're going to have a big enough buzz where you're not a quote-unquote risk for somebody to put you on anyway. So with that being said, if you have a big buzz, does it make sense to go under somebody else's machine? Because then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, what are they offering you? I've seen certain people that they get great deals, and and the people that they're working with actually do believe in them, and of course it helps out because they're able to put more money into what you're doing, which makes a difference with marketing and tours and all of that different stuff.
Right.
So if you're working with the right people, it's not a bad thing. But then also, too, when you're independent, obviously you get to run your own show. And even when you're independent, you always have, a team behind you anyway. So I think it's more so about, the personality of the artist and what exactly they're looking to do and their, goals long term. And then, what exactly they're being offered, because everybody else, there's no way to pinpoint what somebody's getting put on a piece of paper on their table. So if it's a good deal, it's not really. If it's a good deal, then it doesn't make it's not a bad thing to take the deal. But if it's a bad deal,
Right.
then obviously you're better off building up, keep building up your brand and your own base, and then you decide what you want to do if, a major were to come approach you.
Okay. And what are some of the projects? I understand I've seen a couple of your new releases. Tell us about those. Tell us what inspired those. One is called Get Her, which is a really beautiful video. I must say, you look beautiful in all of your videos. It almost takes attention away from your music.
Thank you.
Okay. But what is your plan as far as, your video? You're going to release an album, or are you just going to release single after single, or are you building up into where you're going to have an album ready for the public, or what?
I'm leaning towards an EP, just because I find that when I do make records, I usually do them in bulk, as funny as that sounds. And then what happens is, so I'll create a bunch of different, songs, and then I'm like, okay, I want to put this out. And then sometimes I'll take, like, a little break and then just kind of, because inspiration is one of those things you can't force, so you never really know whenever it's going to come in, like, 10%, 150%, whatever it is. But I do like the idea just of EPs now, just off the fact that you can put out more music, at like a quicker like pace, but then also you can kind of like group like songs based upon the vibe.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm leaning towards an EP. I may end up doing an album depending on like what I want to make the final cut. I think it really just depends on where, I'm at creatively whenever the time comes.
Okay. Now, the resurgence of vinyl is very popular worldwide now. You're releasing anything on vinyl for the DJ?
Yes, I would love to. And I think that's awesome that people want vinyls again.
Yeah, it is. It is. Now, are you traveling? Do you tour? Or are you basically still based in fact, let's go back a minute. Now, you have an interesting birth thing. You were born in Manhattan, right? And raised in New Jersey.
Yes, and then now I'm back in New York.
Okay. And what is it like there? What is it? I've heard different things from some of my friends because, I'm born and raised in New York, too. The father of West Coast hip-hop is a New Yorker, a Harlem boy. But a lot of my friends say back there that now it's not as do you find that it's confining in a sense that you want to leave, maybe travel? Are you thinking Hollywood, doing films, TV, or are you going to stay there until you break that door down that you're trying to get through as a hip-hop artist?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just more of like an opportunist, so I feel like if something great's going to come my way, that makes me say, oh, I need to spend some time out in L.A. to get that done, then I'm definitely not the type of person that thinks twice about, like, picking up their bags and going,
Right.
But I think, it depends more so on, like, where the opportunities are at. Like, with New York, it's great because it's obviously a hub, but at the same time, there's so many people that are, making music in New York. But that's the same thing with, L.A., the same thing with Atlanta. So I definitely think there's pros and cons to being in New York. But, I mean, I just find, though, too, like, the New York, like, obviously just because of the fact that hip-hop just started in New York, like, people in New York just take a different, I feel like, love and appreciation for it.
Right.
And I don't think that's something that'll ever really fade. It's like one of those things where people, like, claim it.
Right.
But then, like I said, hip-hop has become so universal that really, you can go places, towns nobody's ever heard of, and then you'll be surprised how many people in the room listen to the same thing. Like, there's been times where I've gone, even to, like, Vermont and places like that, and you go into a club and they're playing all hip-hop music. So
I hear you. Now, you're very comfortable in your videos. You look beautiful. How was the adjustment when you first started making videos? Being in the studio and recording a song is one thing, but when you decided to do the videos, what kind of adjustment did you have to make there? Did you was there a period where you really had to transition to become more camera friendly, or how did that, or was it just a natural for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's funny because whenever it comes to my music, you know, I don't mind being on camera, but in general, like, I'm not really the type of person that, like, you know, will just really want to take pictures or want to take videos.
Right.
But
wow, that's interesting.
then when it comes to, like, a music video, I also love making a music video. At first, I was definitely more so nervous just because there was obviously no really reason for me to ever be on camera prior to that, you know.
Right.
But it's one of those things that you just get used to. And it's like I had to get used to it, and then once I got used to it, I actually was able to just start having, like, lots of fun doing it. And, you know, it's just one of those things. Now I enjoy making music videos.
You're a veteran now. And it shows. It shows. Each one is, I've got to say, better than the last one. Not that the last ones were bad at all. I'm just saying you came out of the box with strong music videos, and each one technically and musically has gotten better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what do you see yourself ultimately doing? Do you want to have your own production company? Would you like to produce other artists? I mean, what is Miranda Wright's future? Because I know you're going to blow up, so I'm not even going to even ask you about that because I know where you're going. But what is the future when you do blow up, all right, and you've got all these millions of dollars? What are you going to do with it?
You know, I really just, in terms of just being able to, like, impact, I'm all about just, like, the youth and just, like, the younger generation, and I feel like one of the main things that I'd like to do is, like, even when it comes together, like, putting, like, concerts and tours together, like, I would just want to create, like, a positive movement where it's, like, people are coming out and thousands of people are coming out for a hip-hop concert, but yet it's a concert that everybody will feel comfortable going to. And I think that's one of the things that bothers me now is that it's like I just want to help change the stereotype more so associated with hip-hop, because that's what really probably drives me crazy the most is because, and, you know, being mixed, I get to be around, first of all, it's like I've come from, like, two different worlds, you know, but I'm also just around a lot of different types of people, and it's just crazy how on both ends, how there's just such a heavy stereotype associated with hip-hop. Like, people hear that, and all they think is, like, violence, you know, guns, drugs, sex, and everything. And I know that also comes through, like, what people are hearing, but it's like the more you break that mold, you know, if you start making concerts where people are having fun and there's not, you know, all this drama happening and people are actually able to listen to music and you can have different ages there, then you start to make people more comfortable with it as a whole. So for me, I'd just like to, you know, bring different people together, bring different artists together. It would be cool definitely to have, you know, my own production company and maybe, you know, oversee a few different artists. I definitely want to have my own clothing lines, especially whenever it comes to like the snowboarding gear and things like that. So.
Okay. Oh, let's touch on that for a second. I'm going to ask you about what you think if the industry is more friendly to females in hip hop than the males. But before we get there, you are a snowboarder. You and your family go up and ski and snow. And this is something a lot of people don't get to do. But is that the way you sort of release stress? Is that a very important part of your life, to get out with your family and do those type of things?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, you know, I started doing it whenever I was younger with my family, and then even now, like, I'll go to the mountain by myself if everybody else is like busy and doing their own thing. But it's just because it's just like, you're just on a board and you're literally on a mountain going down the hill, so you don't really have time to think much about anything else, and I think that's the best part about it is because it's just an escape.
Right.
And, it's just like a stress reliever.
What other hobbies or interests do you have outside of hip-hop that interest Miranda Rice, things that you might like to do that no one else knows?
I'm into fitness. I spend a lot of time just, spinning and things like that just because I find, working out really is, a big stress reliever. I'm into, yoga and meditating.
I saw you in a yoga pose a couple of years ago, and I said to myself, if I tried to do that, my back would break, or either I would not be able to stand up. So how many years does it take to get to that level where you're that flexible and everything, and you're comfortable with that, no stress? Well, you started young, but I'm sure that even as a young woman, it wasn't that easy.
I think it's more so, commitment because I myself, I practice yoga more so as just, a meditation thing. And then I actually have a lot of friends that are actual, yoga instructors. So they do, all the different crazy poses that I cannot do.
Okay.
But, they practice, on, a daily basis. So I really think it's more of a mental thing, just with anything. It's okay, all right, if I'm going to practice yoga, how deep do I want to get into my yoga practice? Just if you're training at the gym, it's okay, do I want to lift? Is my goal to keep lifting heavier weights, or is it just to be, get a good workout in and feel good and just continue on with the day? So, like I said, for yoga for me is more of a meditation thing, and sometimes I challenge myself to get into different poses, but I just more so find it relaxing in a way to same thing, it's not you can be on the phone or checking or taking calls. You have to put everything away and just be present.
Okay. Now, Miranda Rice, what about the females in hip-hop? Are you familiar with the Mercedes ladies?
No.
Okay. And I know you do study history. The Baby D, they were guests on my show. There's a few of them. Mercedes ladies, Sherry Cher, they were on Facebook. They were all-female hip-hop crew in the 70s. They were at the top of hip-hop, as a matter of fact, in New York City. And they were self-contained DJs, B-girls, and MCs. And they're all grandmothers now. But they told an interesting story about how the, females were treated differently. Once they got known, they were at the top. But in the beginning, they really had to claw and scratch to get the recognition. But talent does rise to the top. Have you experienced anything directly related to you being a female trying to make it in hip-hop, as far as promoters, business dealing?
Yeah, absolutely, all the time. I think, one, just being, a woman, I feel like a lot of times people will try and, challenge me more so. They're it's more of let's hear what you got kind of thing, constantly. And then also, too, I just feel there's a different respect level that's given to, the males in comparison to the women. And then there's also, a certain expectation. It's not any secret that since even the beginning of hip-hop, obviously now it's more apparent how women, in terms of just selling music, have always, have been sexually exploited. And it's one of those things where it's with women, it seems like it's more mandatory versus if a man wanted to do, a photo shoot or whatever like that and show something, whatever it is, that's more of an option. Whereas with women, it's expected. And that comes, back to the whole, perception of, just women in music in general. So I feel like, I face a lot of those challenges, and, you know, it's a balance of just keeping true to, like, who I am, and then also what I feel like people expect from me or, like, what they want to see. But, you know, ultimately I just kind of do what makes me happy and leave the rest of the stuff to the side.
You're true to yourself. Have you met MC Sharon Sharrock Jackson?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Is she an influence in your music and your life and an inspiration?
Yes, absolutely. She's such a, you know, she's such a cool person, and she's just like, you know, the definition of like another like hip hop queen kind of thing. But she's really, she's just really humble and really down to earth and really sweet and obviously talented.
Okay. I've interviewed her also, and she is an inspiration. Now tell us about the future, Miranda Rice. We've got about 2 minutes. Your current projects you're working on, what is your next release, and what do you want the world to know about Miranda Rice?
So my next release is The Money, which is dropping in a couple weeks. And I'm really excited about that song because I just know it's going to hit people in like a completely different way. So you can find that on all my social media outlets. But just in general, just following my music, like I said, my main goal is to just continue to make music. And as people, we all mesh more than we don't. And just, you know, being like on the journey with me, because I feel like we all go through the same things, and that's what really music is about, is just digging deeper into what we're going through.
Okay, and where can people find Miranda Rice's music if they want to purchase?
So you can actually go on to my website, www.missrights.com. My Facebook is Miranda Rights. My Twitter is at Miranda Rights MC. Instagram, Miranda_Rights. I have my music. My Slopes EP is available on iTunes and Spotify and all of that good stuff. And then you can actually download my latest single, Askem, for free on my website. So.
Beautiful, beautiful. This is Disco Daddy, Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip-Hop with Miranda Rights out of New York. And, Miranda, we want to thank you for your time and your contribution to hip-hop. And we're going to be following you the rest of your career in any way we can support you. Disco Daddy and the Wide World of Hip-Hop is here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. And tell your mom and pop I said thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Miranda, and have a blessed week and a blessed year and a blessed career.
You too. Peace.
You've been listening to Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip Hop. Don't go anywhere. We've got more guests coming up and more exciting announcements to come. Love everybody out there. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah. Lately I've been thinking. Working all the time as I blur lines. You know you get rewarded for that crunch time. And you know you spend that money on your lunchtime. And you know you need that roof for your bloodline. Working all the time as I blur lines. You know you get rewarded for that crunch time. And you know you spend that money on your lunchtime. And you know you need that roof for your bloodline. Question. Working 9 to 5, all to survive. Say we got a post, so we really alive. Cause I don't really care for the flashy things. But lately it's clear what the money brings. Lately I've been thinking it's hard to swallow. They say an hour of a life is worth $10. So a minute of your life less than 20 cents. Then we wonder why peeps be mad depressed. It be less if you making wage. If you making more, everybody say what you getting paid comes in different range. But one thing always seems to be the same. Everybody wanna fly, rags to riches. Cause money rules the world in all conditions. We know the realest things in life come for free. But love doesn't let our people eat, so we say work hard, get the money. Cash rules, streets want it. Dollar bills, this man said. The whole world is based around the price tag. I don't care about the money, but I really want the money. I don't care, I don't care. I don't care about the money, but I really need the money. Peeps chillin', mansions, Rolls, Rolex. Jet flying, money flowing in excess. Fancy cars, get them rims too. Look it up. struggling just to pay the rent. Check to check, no extra ever left. Reality, nothing's ever equal. They say never bite the hand that feeds you. And we wonder why the world's so shallow. Dollar bills hold a lot of value. Working day and night, it ain't funny. If you ain't making money, then you hungry. And we wonder why we living in such greed. Currency is a must for all needs. When it's all over, we don't care about money, but we stay in the hustle trying to get that money. More money, more power. We stay in the hustle trying to get ours. More money, more power. We stay in the hustle trying to get ours. Work hard, get the money. Cash rules, streets want it. Dollar bills, man stats. The whole world is based around the price tag. I don't care about the money, but I really want the money. I don't care. I don't care about the money, but I really need the money. Ain't it funny how they played us for the money? It ain't funny, they made us need the money.
Hello out there, Disco Daddy here. Welcome to the inaugural broadcast of Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip Hop. On this show, we're featuring a legendary Egyptian lover, well-known hip hop artist, is becoming iconic, Mr. Martin Askem, and a young lady from New York City, by way of New Jersey, a very talented rapper. Her name is Miranda Wright. Right now on the line, we have Mr. Martin Askem. Now, some of you may not be familiar with his work. Martin Askem, Art You Can Hear. Very unique style of portrait painting of hip-hop artists. We're going to ask him how he got into painting, why he chose art, why he chose hip-hop artists to specialize in at this point in his career. Plus, he has some exciting news of other developments in his career that we're going to be getting into in the next hour. So, Mr. Askem, are you there, sir?
Hello, good day to you, sir. How are you?
How are you doing? You're in London right now, right?
I am. I'm in London, and it's baking hot today in London, which makes a change. But we're all good. Yeah, so we're all good.
Right. Well, it's hot out here. I'm in Los Angeles, and that's why this is the wide world of hip-hop. Now, we want to ask you a little bit about your beginning. I've interviewed you before, but there's still many people who are hearing about you for the first time. Martin Askem, Art You Can Hear. Can you tell us how you started painting, what got your interest, and what age? And then we'll move on into what Art You Can Hear is all about.
Okay, well, I suppose I started off painting. It was something I was always interested in when I was at school, but living in London during the 70s and 80s, growing up in the 70s, was really painting, or trying to pursue that as a career wasn't an option. You really just needed to get a job, earn money. I had to earn money to help support my mother, who was bringing me up alone. So it was something that, even though I was interested in pursuing, I had to put to one side. So fast forward about 20 years after working in corporate management for several companies, I started doing it just as a hobby, painting a few pictures here and there, doodling, sketching, and really started to sort of really get ensconced in it and really enjoying it. And so I've always been a fan of Salvador Dali and surrealism. So I started.
Were you self-taught? I mean, did you go to an art school? Not to interrupt you, but did you go to an art school during any time in this period of your years?
Totally self-taught. I left school at 15. Wow. I hated school. Every second of it, I just the last day that I was at school was like being released from prison. I couldn't believe it. It was like, thank God for that. It's over with.
Okay.
And so no formal training. So I started cutting my teeth by painting surrealist work. And with the advent of social media, I thought, well, how about if I put some of this stuff online? And I started off with MySpace, which now just seems like a million years ago, which is in 2009. And I started really gaining some interest, and I got up to about 20,000 followers, and I was like, wow, I must be doing something right here. But I wasn't selling any work, so it's like, okay, how do I evolve this? How do I try and turn this into something tangible? And at the time, I was made redundant from my employer, so I thought, right, okay, you've got some time here, you've got to think, see what you can do. So I set my own website, started putting my work on there, completely increased my work rate. I was doing 2 or 3 paintings a night.
What period is this? What are you talking? What period is this? The 90s, or have you crossed into 2000 with this period?
I'd say this was 2009 to around 2012.
Gotcha.
So, not that long ago.
Okay.
So after about, I'd say, 6 months to 8 months, I received an email, someone saying, no, we're interested in a particular piece that I'd done. And I said, oh, okay, that sounds really good. So, very, very sceptical, thinking that it would just end up in being, sort of a dead end. And I said, we'll send you the money. Yeah, we'll send you the money, which they did. And they bought the painting. And it was like, wow, it wasn't a huge amount of money, but I was just overwhelmed. And then the following week, they came back to me again and said, we'd like to buy another piece. This time it was double the price. Wow. And I was like, wow, there's something to this. So they used some of the money to make the website better, and then after about 18 months, I'd sold every single piece, my entire portfolio, down to even the palette that I'd been painting on. That someone was interested and bought that. And it was overwhelming.
Yes, it is. I could imagine.
But the work I was painting, it was surreal, but it was very, very dark. And it was work that I think, from drawing on some life experiences as growing up of being living in a single-parent family in abstract poverty, also having my own challenges as a young man and experiences, that what I found, it become almost like a form of therapy, and I was painting my soul onto the canvas. And I really went to, I'd say, some very dark places in some of the work that I painted. As I reflect and look back on the work now, I think, I can look at it and see I was obviously very troubled. I was in a very, very bad place. So for about...
Okay, but there's another aspect to that, too. During those years and all those different techniques you were trying, you were actually refining your sense. And sharpening your tools, which come in handy for your later progression of the work you went into. So there's really, even during a dark period, there's a bright side to it, isn't it?
Without a doubt, and it's funny, and I'll go into that a bit later, because I've actually come in full circle back to that at the moment. But I hit a point like a brick wall, and I thought I can't paint anymore, and I took about a year off in 2012. Really didn't know what to do with myself at all. And then I went to the Art of Rap Festival, the Art of Rap, premiere in London, and the documentary was fantastic. But then there was a performance afterwards by Chuck D, Ice-T, Raekwon was there, Ghostface Killer, and I walked away from this just feeling just absolutely uplifted. And hip-hop has always been, throughout my life, a love of my life. I've always listened to hip-hop, and it's always been something that, even at my lowest point, could give me a sense of upliftment and drive. And it was like a light bulb moment. I thought, okay, if I'm going to return to art, let's pick a subject, something that you love. And I thought, let's try and start portraying hip-hop. So I started off by doing some portraits, and I'd never really done portrait work, so I had to sort of really draw deep and start, learning how to do that. So the first few pieces that I'd done weren't great, but then I really sort of started to get back into the mode as I was previously by pushing myself and producing work at a rate that would be on the same sort of level of Warhol. I was really producing mass amounts of work. And then I started to attract, yet again, I followed social media, but this time through Twitter, which has had a much broader, a much easier way of communicating than Facebook, and also a way of communicating directly with people in hip-hop itself. And I was first approached by Big Daddy Kane. He followed me, and I was like, wow, I've been followed by one of the legends. I can't believe it. I nearly fell off the chair. And he contacted me, and he's like, I really love your work, and was giving me so much praise. And then he gave me a shout out, which was just, I was just completely humbled by it. And he said that I was
I can imagine.
Yeah, he said I was the Michelangelo of hip hop, and thanked me for
I read that. I remember that. Okay. Wow.
And it was just so rewarding, and it just gave me it was like I'd been injected with adrenaline. It just made me want to really push and make this even bigger. And as I was gathering that momentum, I think it naturally created it's almost like a spiritual vibration that was resonating in the work that I was doing and the people that I was communicating with. And then Chuck D approached me, and that for me was, I would say, the most pivotal point in my career, because
what year was this?
This was it was probably about 2013, towards the end of 2013. And Chuck has always had, and Public Enemy had always served for me as the guiding light in society and music, even though I was quite detached from it, living in London, not being an African American. But there was a story, and it was an educational story. It was powerful. It made me want to learn, and it made me want to resist against things that I was seeing that were wrong. And I remember being asked by people that worked with me many years before, who would be the person you want to meet if you had a choice? And I'd always say Chuck D. So Chuck reached out to me and said, would you like to start doing some work with Rap Station, which is his radio show, his radio channel, producing the chart artwork and doing stuff. And I was absolutely blown away and honoured. So I started doing that, and I've been doing that now for 4 years.
Okay. Are you part of his company?
I work with Chuck with Rap Station, doing work with him for that, and I'm also part of an artist collective called Mad Urgency, where we produce work for Public Enemy or Prophets of Rage, which is now the super group that Chuck has launched.
Wow.
So I've produced work for 2 Public Enemy tracks and one Chuck D track, and that in itself was yet again another great honour that was bestowed upon me. But this whole journey throughout it, I just kept having artist after artist after artist approach me.
Let me ask you. What inspires you? Each artist that you do a painting of, what is it that sparks you to do a work about that particular person, or do you have any type of protocol, or are you trying to compile a massive collection of art? I mean, what is it that drives you to do these individual portraits?
I think there's 2 or 3 elements. The first element is that I wanted to create the biggest collection there is, and I've looked at what other art is out there, and I'd say I've probably got the biggest collection on earth now. I've done reaching 450 pieces, and the driving part behind it, and which taps into art you can hear, really is that I want people to look at a painting of a particular artist. So if we say CL Smooth, and I want them to look at that, for it to reflect how the artist looks, but also to tap into their imagination and for them to be reminded of a particular song by that artist and then go on that journey. Because, like, if you listen to music, it takes you on a journey. You can think about things of when your mother was cooking, and you can remember the track pan in the background, or when you first met someone, a friend or a partner or whatever. And it resonates. So I wanted to make it art you can hear. I wanted it to be an absolute journey, so that the viewer would look at my work and it would take them into an absolute experience that almost would be reflective of something he was actually listening to. So I started to sort of verge slightly into surrealism by putting hidden elements in some of the pictures and making them more than just a basic portrait. And I really started to find there that was really resonating with people, started using the tagline of Art You Can Hear, and that really now has developed into its own entity. And I just found that all of the people in hip-hop, I mean, I've been very blessed and fortunate to work with, probably every major name in hip-hop, certainly from the golden era, have gravitated towards me, and it's just hugely rewarding. Just the feedback that I receive is more rewarding than any cash that you could be offered. If someone was to say it was $1 million, oh yes, it'd be fantastic and wonderful, but it doesn't compare to the feedback. The feedback just it makes it all worthwhile, all that effort. For someone to say, I feel that you've immortalised me, I feel so honoured, and it's like, well, this is my way of also thanking the artists for their craft, because without their music, I may have sunk in my own personal life. So it's my homage to them as well. So now it's sort of gone full circle where I'm not moving away from hip hop, but I'm starting to really start stepping into surrealism, and I want to start to portray the American experience, the things like the Black Lives Matter movement, things that have happened in society and are happening, things like with Trump, people's perception of the government, and I really want to try and create something that invokes the similar experience of the musical experience, but invokes emotion that makes people stand up and think, oh, okay.
So Martin Askem is branching out or stretching out, and you're not leaving the hip-hop genre, but you're going to try to make your mark in other areas, social consciousness.
Well, I mean, it's tapped into. I've got a project, and I can't divulge too much about it at the moment because there's lots of contracts and things that need to be signed, but I've been offered a major TV show in the States where it will involve my work, and it will involve me stepping back into surrealism, and it'll be partnering up and working with some significant people within the music industry as well. That's about all I can say about it at this moment, but with that and with what I have in mind of the body of work, I think that you're going to see something that personally I believe that will put me on the map as the greatest living artist. I really do have that belief.
Believe me, sir. Believe me, you're on the map already. But now you're moving from London to New York, I understand. Tell us about that.
We're looking at Atlanta is really where we're looking at.
Atlanta, okay.
New York, obviously being the founding place of hip hop, and there's so many connections there. Will be somewhere certainly that I'll be networking to. But what I'm going to bring to America itself is my company that I've set up called Art You Can Hear. And that's working with my friend, lifelong friend and business partner, Regal, who's making the move with me. And I've got other people on my team called Dan and Lion, and my other guy called Charlie, who heads up a writing element that we've got called The Fifth Element, which is where Charlie does a fantastic job writing about hip-hop and writing all about the experiences that people have and just doing a critique and review. But Art You Can Hear is going to serve as a full-service creative solutions agency where we can build brands, beings, and things, and we have our ethos is that we make imagination reality. So it's really turning. If someone comes to us who's a budding hip hop artist, being that hip hop is really my speciality and the network that I've built, that we will be able to turn and help them develop them into successful artists and help build their career by doing visual presentations, different aspects of media to put them on the map. And I think that for me, it's about a service. I think that my role in hip-hop has become a service now, and it's something about how can I give back to help build that gap between the golden era to the future, and by having all of the elements of the golden era, preserving those, and placing those into the hands of people, almost like a baton, handing the baton to someone so they can move forward and take that positive message of hip-hop forward to maintain and evolve hip-hop, because hip-hop for me is the most powerful, culturally diverse art form on the planet, hands down. There is nothing on earth that comes close. It influences us in everyday life, from the graphics that we see on the side of us. Yeah, everything. Clothing, food, everything we see is influenced by hip-hop. And it goes across generations, and people on a subliminal basis and also on a straight-in-your-face basis. And it's so powerful. And I think it has the power also to change lives in a positive way. Because if it can, there's always been a lot of negative press about hip-hop. And if I look at it and I think, well, if it can affect, communities and generations negatively, then it can certainly do something in a positive manner. And, as I say, drive out the darkness through light. And that's certainly what our intentions are. It's to bring all of the goodness, the greatness of hip-hop, to help people, uplift people, look at social outreach programs as well, and really take it to the next level. And we've got branches of it as well. We've got a young lady that I'm working with who set up a company called Without Us Girls, and that is where we look at empowering and uplifting young women through the power of hip-hop and music and fashion. Because young women have got a most pivotal role in society.
Is she based in London with you?
No.
Is she based in London with you?
No, she's based in the States, so that will be perfect. We're all going to be located, together to help drive this forward. Her name is Davin. She's a very, very highly talented young lady. She is going to really use empower young women and demonstrate that they are the educators and the people that inspire our young men and our young women of today and future generations. And their role is important. And it's really about teaching them things about sexual education. Ensuring that they practice safe sex. They avoid drugs. They avoid the pitfalls of life. Teaching them how to have a bank account, how to run a home, all the things that they don't get taught in school, the practicality of life, she's 31. She's 31.
Oh, okay.
She's had a lot of life experience as well that will really help actually uplift and push young girls forward and young women. And I think that as a natural extension of all of what we're doing is like, I have a logo, and the logo is of a man and a woman, and there's a tree in the middle, and it's the roots, and it's like we're one big family.
Beautiful logo, too, I must say.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful logo.
We really want to use that tree as being the real ethos of the whole the whole group, because it's like the roots of it from where we come from, and then we know where we're going to, and all the different branches of it, but we're all one family for one common purpose. Okay. It really is of goodness and upliftment.
Okay, now let me ask you. The techniques that you use, are your paintings acrylic? They're very colorful, they're very dramatic. Is it acrylic or charcoal, or do you use variety? All your hip-hop
variety.
Okay.
I use a variety. I mean, I actually love. Funny you say charcoal. I love using charcoal and sort of just using my fingers to paint. But it's one of the most messy processes in the world, and you end up the whole house is covered in chalk dust. I love watercolor because if you paint with watercolor, if you make a mistake, that's it. You've got to start again. So you've got to be very precise. Wow. And I use it with acrylic as well. So I love using Sharpies, and I try to mix it up and put all different elements into it to create something that is totally different. So it's visually very, very inspiring. I mean, I've had people approach me and say to me, have you thought about doing digital art? Would you do digital art? And that's something I'd certainly like to learn how to do, because then it makes it more accessible for the public in terms of buying prints and merchandising, etc. Because at the moment it's a process of photographing the work, then having it uploaded, then having it sent off to be printed. And it's if I can cut out as many middlemen as possible, then I can make it accessible to the public, but also affordable as well. Because I do think that art can be quite an intimidating thing for people when they first buy art. And I think it should be.
They're thinking $1 million a thing.
Yeah. And I just think that art should be accessible to everyone, and it's not all about the money. It's about what it does to people. Obviously, I need to eat and I need to, live.
Yeah.
But, I think if you do things the right way, then naturally the rewards will come to you.
They're going to come to you. Okay. Now, you have tours. Are you planning tours when you get here to the States? Or how is the basically once you get here, what is your plan?
I had there was an exhibition that unfortunately I couldn't attend. It's part of an exhibition called Merlot Moments, and that's where it's run by a guy called Langston Hughes, who is a very talented hip hop artist, and it's a combination.
Langston Hughes. His name is Langston Hughes. Yes. You know there was a poet, a very famous black poet by the same name.
Oh right, okay.
Yes, Langston Hughes was a Harlem Renaissance poet. He was one of probably the most famous of the Harlem Renaissance poets from the 30s, 40s. Yes, Langston Hughes. That's really.
Maybe that's where he's lent his name from there then. But his name
really is Langston Hughes. Just happens to be a coincidence, but that's a little bit in the Mississippi job. Okay. And what is he doing with the? Is he in charge of your tour or the exhibition?
This was his conception of Merlot Moments, and it's working with a wine company and doing wine tasting as well. So it's combining fine art and also hip hop. Now the last event that we had. Yeah, and it really is, because it's obviously crossing barriers and taking it to different areas, social areas. Now, the last one was on June the 10th in Charleston, South Carolina. I wasn't there, but my work was there. And we had Red Alert there. Cool DJ Red Alert played there. My work was there, and it was really well received. So the next place that we're looking at is going to be Atlanta. We're looking at probably doing that in the next 2 or 3 months. And we're hoping to get a major hip-hop performance as well tied into that at the moment. At the moment, I can't really reveal that because it's not been signed, sealed, and delivered. But that is where we will definitely be having the exhibition in Atlanta. But in terms of the artist that will be performing, that isn't signed and dealed yet. But so there's that. There are other aspects and opportunities that are on the table at the moment. And to be honest, there's so much going on that it's now my process of really trying to rationalise everything and put all different things, line them up and prioritise what needs to be done either way. I mean, I've got the TV show, I've got Art You Can Hear. I approached Nike at the beginning of the year with a proposal to do a shoe design. Everyone said to me, you won't even get a response. About 2 weeks later, I was sitting in a local pub with one of my team, and I got a response from the CEO saying, this is the process you need to follow to submit your design. We're very interested. So we're working on a shoe design to submit to Nike, which could be absolutely huge. I mean, the concept that we've come up with so far and some of the branding behind it is just amazing. And again, that will be something that we will want to look at as being affordable, ethical, and something that's available for everyone. So that's a long-term project. That'll be sort of 2019. We hope to roll that out because it's going to take a long time with the technology and the process of actually constructing the shoe. But I've got the preliminary designs that I've designed myself and the name of the shoe and everything. So that's in the movement. We've got quite. So we've got that. I've got the book coming out with Chuck D that I mentioned before when you interviewed me before. Then this is going to be called This Day in Hip Hop and Rap History. This is authored by Chuck D.
When is that due?
That's due in October. That's all signed and sealed, and that will be released worldwide in October. And that will be a chronicle of each day in hip-hop. So it may be one day it may say it's a particular artist's birthday, and then there will be illustrations. There's 2 or 3 other artists that have worked on it with me. But I'm the principal artist. I've got 39 pieces of work that are in the book, and it will be a tabletop hardback book where it really is like a chronicle of hip-hop. And we hope to look at doing that every year or maybe every 2 years, where we can sort of update things. Unfortunately, we see people pass in hip hop. Recently, we saw Prodigy, God rest his soul.
Oh my goodness!
So it would be honouring people that have passed, honouring new people to the game as well. And it's really our homage to hip hop and us, saluting those that have provided their level of service to hip hop as well. And on the back of that, I want to try and look at doing my own book as well. I really want to put together something that has every piece that I've done and try and, maybe get to speak to as many of the artists that I've portrayed and have them, maybe do a short write-up with their critique of my work and have a similar type of book. And I'd probably look at trying to get that done by the end of next year. So there's a great deal going on. As I say, I've got my friend and business partner.
You're going to be a very busy man this year.
Well, I'm lucky. I'm lucky, as I say. I've got my friend and business partner Regal, who's really I can give him all my ideas, and then he can put them into a template and a presentation format for me, so that I'm able to push forward and then move on to the next project. Up until this point, I've managed every aspect of it, from social media to the promotions, every aspect. And it's now at the point where it's really difficult to do. Twitter alone can take 2 or 3 hours of my day. So I'm getting to the point now where there's not enough hours in the day. It's hugely rewarding. It's hugely rewarding. But also I see the rewards now of bringing a team together. I met with Chuck last week, and he met with Regal, my partner, and Regal was really pleased to meet Chuck, and it's sort of like, opening up what I've been fortunate enough to see, and the people that I network with, opening up that up to a broader audience around me, people that I've lived with and have known all my life, and it's naturally now touching other people's lives, but also growing like the tree in the logo. It's just growing bigger and bigger, and we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. We're going to really do things that are going to be done that people will go, wow, this is fantastic, whether it be a marketing campaign or whether it be a series of exhibitions, but they also go, wow, look at what they're giving back to society, because really for us it is about giving back and looking at, helping neighbourhoods, helping young people, especially young people, to really see that there is so much out there that they can do and accomplish, and, to put down the guns, to put down the drugs, and to utilise their talents, because there are so many free tools as well. You've got YouTube, you've got Twitter, you've got Facebook. They've got so much stuff at their disposal. All you need is a cell phone, and you can get your music or your message out there to the whole world. Right. And it's about doing that. And going away from the mentality of having like world star hip hop, where we're just filming and recording people fighting and doing madness. We want to have people sharing goodness and sharing their talent, because most young people that I come across are filled with immense talent, and it just resonates. It comes out of them, but because of their social situation, it's almost like they just give up, because no one wants to support them, and they're looked upon as though they're the dregs of society, which is so wrong. I think it's my responsibility as an artist to try and change that. So with the company, that's part of our global vision, and we really do have global ambitions.
Okay, now where can people purchase your work? Email or company? Just give a description of how people can reach out and get to Martin Askem, Art You Can Hear painting.
Well, initially, anyone can contact me on Twitter. If you just go to Twitter, my handle is A5KEM. And I have a lot of people ask me why I use A5 instead of the ASKEM. And that is that the 5 is my homage to hip-hop, being the Furious 5 and the 5 elements of hip-hop. So if you just think about that. So it's A5KEM. And that's my handle on Twitter, where you will see that I always will interact with anyone that contacts me on there. You will always get a personal response from myself. My website for my art is a5kem.com, And for the business, for Art You Can Hear, it's artyoucanhear.com. And for the extension of Without Us Girls, that's withoutusgirls.com. So those really are the places you can reach us. So as I say again, A5KM on Twitter, A5KM.com for my art, artyoucanhear.com, and withoutusgirls.com.
Okay, now, suppose someone wants to get a painting or a portrait of themselves done by Martin Askem. Once you move here to the United States, is that a possibility? Can people contact you?
Yeah, without a doubt. It's something that, a lot of artists are very much like, well, I don't do that. It's almost like if you commercialise yourself in some way that, you're not a true artist. And that to me, I just think is absolute nonsense. If you're an artist,
you have to do paintbrushes, don't you?
Yeah. The thing is that I have to live. You've got to be a realist, and this is something that in part of what we will do in teaching people, if we influence people with art, is teaching them how to actually become an artist and run it as a business. Because it's not hard. It's real hard work, and there are times where you could go for 6 months without earning a penny. So you've got to make sure that you're really on the ball, you're focused, you're consistent, and you're being habitual about everything you do to keep that message driving along. So yeah, definitely, I would do that. And I also think that, art should be accessible. Even though hip-hop artists have provided me with a great deal of upliftment, satisfaction with their own craft, they are still human beings, and what separates them from someone, average Joe in the street, saying, I would like a picture done by yourself? I believe it's of equal honour, if not more of an honour, to have an individual say, I would like you to paint me or my family, because then, they are placing their trust in me and their investment in me to do something that will become very personal to them. So it's definitely something that I will do, and something that, as always, I will put my heart and soul into.
Okay. You're listening to Mr. Martin Askem, Art You Can Hear. And he's about to blow up even bigger than he is right now, because in the hip-hop world and in the art world in general, his name is rising. He's a rising star in the art world, but he's already a star to us in the hip-hop world. We love you, Martin Askem. We love your paintings. We love the fact that you concentrate on our worldwide culture and the figures and iconic people who've established and built this art form. Also, your paintings give immortality to those artists. When they pass, people can go out and they can buy them a Martin Askem, Art You Can Hear portrait of their favorite artist and put it on their wall and still have that artist live in their lives. So we thank you. We thank you for your time in the interview for Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip Hop. And you're coming from London, England. Martin Askem is on his way to America. I look forward to meeting you. Okay, we look forward. We're waiting here with open arms. In fact, if you come through New York, the Statue of Liberty is going to open her arms to give you a hug, Martin Askem. Okay?
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Right on. So, and I look forward to meeting you soon. When you come out to the West Coast, you got to hit up Disco Daddy, okay?
Yeah, definitely. I will be definitely hitting you up, and you're also on my list to be put into my collection, so you watch out for that soon as well.
Yeah, that'll be an honor. And, I really, I enjoy this interview. I enjoy every time I talk to you, Martin.
Wow, there you have it. The very first episode. Wasn't it a great show? Come back next week, every Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Disco Daddy's Wide World of Hip Hop show. Man, it's a great one. Epic. See you next week. Bye.